Let me give it a shot.
Okay, so let's get into it here because we're going to be getting Billy Dib on the show. Um, it was reported that he had said that he's owed 1.2 million from 50 Cent, and he said it was basically a nightmare. Could never get a hold of 50 Cent. Didn't know where anything what was gonna happen. What was the next move? So obviously we got our questions for Billy. But how I'm wondering how it even came around of him getting signed by 50 Cent. What was the conversation of that happening there? But a little later today, Felipe, you had sent me the Instagram of 50 Cent responding back to Billy, and
you want me to read it?
Yeah, go ahead.
I've got all the quotes up. If you got to do it, absolutely. Or I could play Billy and you could play 50 if you'd like. However you want to do it.
Well, I mean, the thing is, the 50 Cent, what he wrote it as far as Instagram, it's pretty funny. I'm going to go and I quote Curtis Jackson, otherwise known as 50 Cent. The truth is Billy Dib was a grateful fighter. What's that?
Hold on. I believe we have Billy on with us, right? Billy, you there?
Yeah, I'm here, man. I can hear you guys.
Hey, thanks for coming through, bro. we were having problems trying to call you through. For some reason, every time I called you, it just dropped. It wouldn't even go through. It would ring once and then drop and stuff. So I apologize, man. But thanks for making it here on Leaving the Ring.
No problem, man. Thank you for having me.
So we were going to get into right now I don't know if you had a chance to see the response from 50 Cent on his Instagram. Did you get to read that? What he had to say responding back to?
I don't care about what 50 Cent has to say, man. He knows the truth, and at the end of the day, I know the truth, he knows the truth, and the truth will set you free, he says that Gradovich took the fight on 1 month's notice, but so did I, you know what I mean? What 50 Cent failed to tell you is about what happened in the lead up to all that, you know what I mean? What 50 Cent failed to tell you is how his big mouth got us taken off the Showtime card, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's so much more to reveal, but it's all going to happen in time.
Is that something that we can we touch on a little bit to find out what I mean, you're kind of giving us a little bit, but not all of it. I'd like to hear a little bit more about that. What happened? I mean, what was the lead up into that?
Look, man, it's very simple. Andre Durrell left him. Blue chip boxers trying to leave him. You got Gamboa trying to get out of his contract. Everyone's trying to get away from 50 Cent. So does that say something? I think the suit follows. You know what I mean? The guy promised the world and delivered the Atlas. You know what I mean? The truth is that, we only all signed on because we thought Floyd Mayweather was going to be a part of it. And then unfortunately, we were all stuck in contract because we signed a contract to 50 Cent because at the time Floyd Mayweather was in jail. We couldn't get away. What can we do?
So,
can we back up to how you doing, Billy? This is Gabriel Montoya, formerly of Max Boxing, but now we're Living in the Ring here. And Felipe Leon is also here from SD Fights and other outlets.
Good day, mate.
Thanks for coming on. I just want to go back to the beginning because I'm very curious to see how this all started because it seems like there was confusion. Like at first, it seemed like there was going to be a Floyd Mayweather 50 Cent breakaway promotional company. This is like right before the PBC is about to happen. You were a part of it. Other fighters are a part of it. How were you approached, and how did it begin for you with 50?
Well, man, look. Originally, I was approached when I was the champion of the world. I was the IBF champion of the world. Again, 50 tries to downplay my credentials, but here's the truth. I fought in the U.S. prior to signing to 50 Cent. I only had a close loss to Stephen Loeveno. And then I went on and did what I had to do. Whether he says I fought cab drivers or not, mate, I'll tell you something. You don't win world titles easily. It's not easy to win a world title. I beat Jorge Lacieva to win the championship of the world. Then I defended it against Alberto Cerviti, Eduardo Escobedo. Eduardo Escobedo is known in America. He's given some of the guys, some top fighters, tough fights. I stopped him in 6 rounds. You know what I mean? My credentials speak for themselves. You can't take that title away from me, and it is what it is.
Yeah. Well, do you think 50...
And the thing is, this what happened. 50 Cent signed me up as a champion of the world, but when I traveled to the U.S. to meet with 50 Cent, I traveled there under the impression that I would be signing to 50 Cent as well as Floyd Mayweather. The contract stipulated that I'd be signed to Mayweather Promotions and that was going to be called TMT Promotions. So that's my contract is under TMT Promotions. And then 50 and Floyd had a fallout, and unfortunately, I got caught in the middle of the crossfire and had to make a decision. And, you know, money had been paid and things like that. And so, you know, bonuses were given out to all the fighters. And, you know, we were basically stuck with 50 Cent. That's exactly what happened. You know, and it's, you know, I'm not bagging 50. At the end of the day, the guy tried, but he failed. You know what I mean? That's the truth. He tried, but he failed. He says that, I can only get you the fights, but I can't fight for you. Yeah, that's true. You can't get the fight. You can't fight for me. But why don't you reveal to the public exactly what you did in the lead up to them fights? I basically went into those fights a very disheartened fighter. You know what I mean? Like when you got a happy fighter is a good fighter. But when you got a fighter that's disheartened and a fighter that's very upset and arguing with his promotional company, he's not going to perform.
Did you get the sense? Well, I'm trying to figure out the distinction too. Of I'm not downing your story. I just wanted clarity. When you thought it was going to be Floyd and Fitty, were you signing with Fitty as like the manager, and Floyd was going to be the promoter?
No, I had a manager. No.
Gotcha.
Their company they were promoters. They were.
Gotcha.
Look, this is what happened. 50 came in and was trying to get Al Heyman out of the picture. We all know the story. And Floyd Mayweather wasn't having it, you know what I mean? And for all we know, you know what I mean? Like Floyd's a very smart guy, you know what I mean? I got a lot of time for Floyd. I got a lot of respect for him. He's a great champion. He's done great things in the sport of boxing. But look, at the end of the day, 50 Cent, he tried, but he failed. You know what I mean? That's all right. Sometimes you got to try and you got to fail, but don't try and fail and ruin people's careers. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, I could have stayed home in Australia, defended my world title, earned a lot more money, you know, instead of signing with him and being underpaid, you know?
Yeah. Did you feel like there was no promotional plan? I remember meeting Fitty when he came out with Gamboa at the Fortune Gym down in L.A., in Hollywood. And I kept asking him. Aram was there. It was a double bill, I believe. And he was there introducing 50 Cent. And we were all meeting him as the first time as a promoter on the West Coast. And he wouldn't answer the question about when you're going to do your own card and not just be on somebody else's card. Did you get a sense when he was pitching you at first that there would be, 50 Cent cards and you would be getting TV dates and it would be like other promoters?
That's exactly what I thought. But, at the end of the day, to you guys, things happen for a reason. And, that was what was written for me to be in my life. And, I'm just, as I said, I'm just glad that I could close that chapter and I'm finally a free agent and I can go do what I got to do now.
Hey there, Billy. It's Felipe Leon from FightNews.com and other outlets. How you doing?
Good, man. How you doing?
Good. Hey, quick question. You mentioned that, there were some bonuses paid and that you were under the impression that you were going to sign with Floyd Mayweather. So I'm assuming that you were paid a bonus. Do you think that at that moment, if you were to have given back that bonus, you could have probably gotten out of the contract once you knew that Mayweather wasn't going to be involved?
I think so. I really do think so. You know what I mean? I really think had I given back that bonus, things might have been a little bit different.
And my next question, you mentioned in the article that I read, as far as you getting out, ending the contract and everything, that you're owed, 7 figures, and that you were only paid fractions of your purses. I could only imagine that on your contract with 50 Cent, you had minimums for these fights. How did it come about that you weren't paid at least those minimums, and then you're now owed, that amount of money? Like, how did that conversation go where he would tell you?
The thing is that I was promised a 9-fight deal over 3 years, and unfortunately 50 Cent was only able to deliver on 4 of those fights. And when I took those fights, I was under the impression that I would be getting paid my minimum, and I wasn't even getting paid my minimum. So then what happened after that was, the contract ran out, 3 years had run up, and I hadn't been given the 9 fights, and the contract stipulated that if I wasn't given the 9 fights at the end of the term, I would be paid out in full. Well, I wasn't paid out anything.
Okay, that makes sense. So as far as, how did that conversation go when you receive your check?
50 Cent's a very, very smart guy. Why do you think he claimed bankruptcy? Because he owes so many people so much money. You know what I'm saying? He claims bankruptcy so that he doesn't have to pay anybody. I was getting these letters from the Connecticut state saying that if I need to file anything against 50 Cent, but why would I even bother? Why would I even bother?
It's going to just be court fees.
Why? I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to even bother.
As far as you receiving those checks that weren't for your minimums, what was that conversation like? Would you go up to, 50 or one of his representatives and say...
See, that's what people need to understand. The reasons why I would go into these fights disheartened, and I looked like, I fought, look, if you look at the fights that I had in the first fight against Gradovich, you can see like sort of an angry fighter. I was sort of angry, I fought, like the style that I fought wasn't really the style that I usually fight. I was a little bit angry because it was revealed to me only, a few days before the fight what I was going to get paid, and it wasn't my minimum, and I was so upset,
Wow.
What was the reason? What was the reason that you weren't paid your minimum? Did he say it had something to do with TV, cost? What was the reason they say, hey, buddy, you're not going to get paid what your contract says, but you're going to get paid this much? I mean, he had to give you some kind of a reason, right?
Well, the reason was that because he said, ESPN doesn't give the budget that networks like HBO and Showtime do. So, and then when I fought on HBO on the undercard of Manny Pacquiao and Brandon Rios, he still didn't give me my minimum. You know what I mean? So, fair is fair. And at the end of the day, in time I'm going to reveal all this. I'm going to reveal a book, and in my book I'm going to put it all out there, and I'm going to show everybody. I'm going to show the contracts of what I got paid. I'm going to show the contracts of what I was promised. I'm going to reveal all, and I'm going to show the 50 Cent's a joke.
When he didn't start taking your calls anymore, was this after the Pacquiao and Rios undercard? When you started talking about how you would call him and he'd never return your calls, or was this during the whole time you were involved with him?
Nah, he was just a very hard person to catch, and I can understand 50 Cent's a very busy guy. From time to time he would take our calls, but majority of the time he was busy. He would, he'd say, I'll call you back, and he wouldn't call back and things like that. So, it became frustrating to deal with the company, like I can tell you now, I was signed to Golden Boy Promotions, and it was one of the most professional teams that I've ever dealt with. Every time we called, Eric Gomez always called us back. David Istowich always called us back. We just had access to the company. It was just very hard because 50 Cent didn't seem to not know, the direction that he was going in.
What do you think is the lesson learned in your opinion, that you would express to other fighters that are starting to sign with kind of celebrity figures out there that are trying to get involved with boxing? What advice would you give to them before they put the ink on the paper?
Man, I would just say that, at the end of the day, when you look at the top boxing promoters in the world, you got people like Top Rank, you got people like Golden Boy Promotions, you got people like Al Heyman now with PBC and all that stuff. I think these are the guys that are really taking boxing to the next level, and if you really believe in your talent and you believe you can make it somewhere, then I would really advise these fighters to look to sign to promoters like Golden Boy and Top Rank and Al Heyman, rather than sign to promoters like superstar rappers and things like that. I don't know how Rock Nation's going, but it seems to be doing pretty good. Seems that Jay-Z made good on his promises with Miguel Cotto, and I think Jay-Z seems to have the right idea. He's got a really good guy working for him, David Istowich. But unfortunately, I think 50 Cent never thought that he and Floyd Mayweather would part ways. And it's unfortunate for him because they did and ended up going down the wrong road.
Do you hope that you get a call from him now that you've kind of been opening up about the situation between you two? Do you hope that he gives you a call and tries to make amends with you because of the fact that he is a guy that No, I
don't care. Something, being completely honest, the guy is as classless as you can get because, I was a guy that was signed to his company. We're supposed to be friends. My wife passed away last year. Do you think that the guy picked up the phone and said, look, man, my condolences? Doesn't matter. I'm not worried about... Boxing is only a small part of my life. you know, and boxing doesn't define who I am. So I'm not really worried about what 50 Cent does and what he says and how many people he has on Facebook or Twitter trying to troll me or whatever it is. I couldn't care less. You know, trust me when I tell you, I've been through a lot more than what you know. People can say whatever they want, but people don't know the story of what I've been through in my life. So, you know, for me to get to this point and to have won world titles and to live so far, you know, we live in Australia. When you say an Australian's a world champion, it's something that happens like one-off. It's not something that happens all the time, you know. So, you know, I achieved my dream of being a world champion. You know, I earned money in the process, you know, and, like, I'm comfortable. I'm living a good life at home and everything is cool. I don't mind.
There was an article that came out recently about you that talked about the hardest year any person can live. My condolences to you, Billy. I'm really sorry for your loss.
No, it's okay. Thank you, man.
You're welcome. Can you talk about now? I mean, you say you have there's this fire in you. You have a lot to fight for. Your last loss was a stoppage. You know, you've had a couple stoppage losses now. What is it that you're fighting for? Is it a title? Is it just to prove to yourself that you can win again? What is it?
Yeah. You know, the truth is that, you know, it's not, you know, it's not about the money, you know, because I'll tell you now, when I was a kid and when I was fighting for free and, you know, fighting for trophies and stuff, I loved the sport a lot more. And, you know, prior to signing to 50 Cent, I was fighting for the love of the sport. You know, I was earning good money fighting at home. I wasn't being greedy. And then all of a sudden, you know, you get promised this deal and, you know, you start feeling a little disheartened because you're not getting paid your minimum. So then you find yourself fighting for money. And so for now, you know, I'm looking just to get back in the ring, you know, just to get back in the winning circle. And I'm sure that, you know, other doors will open up. You know, I guess you're only one win away from fighting for another world title. And so, you know, I'm just going to take it fight by fight and then, you know, God willing, at some stage in the next year or so, I'll get another opportunity at a world title, and hopefully I can turn the the wrongs to right. You know what I mean? And hopefully, if I can win another world title, I'll be sure to make sure that I steer it in the right direction. You know, I don't get enticed into signing with people that are not going to steer me in the right direction.
Well, there you go. Billy Dave here on Leaving the Ring Radio, man. Again, I want to thank you, bro, for coming through and talking to us here and giving us the feedback. I mean, the feed of what happened between you and 50. I hope everything goes well. I hope you get back on your feet.
Let me just tell you one thing before I go. 50 Cent responding just shows you how guilty he is. Because if he felt that I was just talking rubbish, I wouldn't. If I was him and I thought that I was talking rubbish, I wouldn't respond. You know, I get a lot of people that message me on social media and try to bag me out and say, I don't respond to them. But the reason why he responded is because he knows he's in the wrong. I guarantee you that you ask Andre Dirrell, he'll tell you the same thing. You ask Gamboa, he'll tell you the same thing. You know, you ask that young fighter from New York, blue chip boxer, he'll tell you the same thing. You know, these kids are all being dealt wrong. You know what I mean? Hence the reason why Andre Dirrell sat out, got paid out his contract, and went and signed with Al Heyman. You know what I mean? Made the best move for his own career.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to me. I had somebody that was, you know, they were looking at James Kirkland, I think it was, and it was kind of a fight. I think it was between Tyson and Fitty. He ended up going with Fitty, but Tyson isn't even promoting in the sport either, and it's got to be hard out there, man. You guys fight like every day. You know, the training alone would kill most people, and then you're just hoping for a shot at some glory. You know, it's a hard hustle.
Look, it's a tough industry, man. It's not an easy industry. It's a tough industry, and unfortunately, sometimes fighters get sucked in and make the wrong decisions. You know what I mean? They end up ruining their careers. But look, at the end of the day, I don't feel that I've ruined my career. You know, I still lived out my dream. I managed to win 2 world titles in 2 weight divisions. You know, I defended them on numerous occasions. I made a lot of money. So I'm comfortable, you know what I mean? I'm happy. Life is good for me. I'm not really worried about what 50 Cent and what the rest of the boxing media have to say. At the end of the day, the history books say that I was a world champion. I defended it, and all good.
Yeah, that's true, man. And I like your stance, too, as well, when it comes to, you know, I mean, being somebody that's pretty vocal and not afraid to say what they want and get it across. I've kind of watched that with you, defending, being Muslim and telling people like, hey, this is that you guys have the wrong perception of what Muslim people are all about, and I condone you for that, man. I think that's great that you're always defending that fact, that that's not the image that's been painted. It's the image that the media has painted of Muslim people.
That's right, man. Well, at the end of the day, you can't judge people. You can't judge a race or a community or a religion based on what one person does. You know what I mean? We're not. What? There's people make mistakes all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's sometimes an Anglo does something that's out of line. You know what I mean? And he doesn't bring his whole faith down with him, but unfortunately for us, one Muslim person does something, and next thing you know, the whole community pays for it.
Absolutely, man. Again, brother, I want to thank you one more time for coming on the show. Really greatly appreciate it, man. We wish you all the best, Billy.
Thank you guys very much. You take care.
You too.
Bye-bye.
I think Billy Dave... What's that?
No, go for it. What are you going to say?
I think Billy Dave said it best when he said, oh, man, I lost my train of thought. Sorry, I'll get it back. Go ahead, David.
Hey, that's how you know Felipe is sitting in the tunnel right now. He's a lookout. He just saw some headlights. Oh, shit. Hey, they're coming. It's okay.
No, I was thinking about it while he was talking, and I completely lost it. I'll get it back. Stop. This is what happens when you start drinking.
No, there you go. I know, man. You got to drink like Tecate Light or something like that, bro. That's what I'm doing right now.
Yeah,
so I can be able to
drink Tecate Light.
There you go. I think what Billy Dib is kind of showing out, and this is something that I think that should be discussed here, is that the fact of just because you bring a face or you have the cash doesn't really play out that you're going to be a good promoter in boxing. There's a lot more to learn about the sport. Some folks think it's about putting two guys in the ring and it's going to end up folding itself on its own. But that's not the way it works. There's a lot of mechanics behind being a promoter, setting up an event, expensive, and not all the time. I think it's one of the toughest things to realize that at any given moment, as a promoter, you have to wait for that phone call where a guy doesn't make weight, where a guy doesn't show up, or a visa was not approved, or a guy gets hurt at camp. There's so many variables, and you have to have that Rolodex of numbers to be able to fall back on. And that's something that these promoters that think that, well, I'm a mega star, so I'm already going to bring an audience. Everything else is going to play itself out, and we'll be in a safe zone. That's not the way things happen. Look at even with Mike Tyson, like you mentioned a little earlier, Gabriel. Just because you bring a name doesn't mean you're going to bring the crowd to watch a fight. At the end of the day, people want quality fights, and that's what you have to provide.
Dude, remember Boxing 360? That company.
Oh, yeah.
Remember Steve would say, like, they're always in litigation. It's like, well, they're always having to sue people for suing their fighters or pulling a fast one on their fighters. It is, as Bob Arum says, the desert is strewn with, bleached bones of those who have tried. Boxing promotion is, it's like territory. There are people that are entrenched, and they don't want anybody else to come on in.
Yeah, and I got my train of thought back, guys. I know what I was going to say. Billy Dib said it the best. Why are other guys leaving 50 Cent? And that's true. I mean, everybody's left 50 Cent because they knew there was nothing there. They all fell in love with, 50 Cent, the rapper, the hip-hop artist, the multi-millionaire, because the guy is a multi-millionaire. But just because you're good at one business, like David is saying, doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be good in boxing. Boxing is its own animal. The business of boxing is its own animal. And if you're not a guy that's super shrewd, like a Bob Arum or a guy that's Harvard smart like Al Heyman or a straight gangster like Don King, you're not going to succeed at the level that these guys succeeded. You might be able to do something here and there like 50 Cent has done, but you're not going to succeed and have the longevity of the Bob Arum has been doing this for freaking 40 years, 40, almost 50 years. Don King did it almost as long, and it just takes that very special type of person to be able to do it for that long in this business.
At the end of the day, what the three things of those three guys you just named right now have in common is they're all number guys. They understand how to crunch numbers. They know how to maneuver numbers around to make things fit. Because regardless if you have a background as an attorney or something else that comes along in that way, because it's proven, not even Lou DiBella could make his company as successful. He needed another vehicle to jump on and couldn't even be the driver of it. He needed to be the passenger in order to have something successful. He was on his last leg with Sergio Martinez. Look how difficult it was for him to get Sergio Martinez on big platforms. So it just shows the Al Haymans of the world, the Bob Arams of the world, the Don Kings of the world, and even with Oscar De La Hoya, he could tell you himself, he's not the guy that crunches the numbers. He seeked out to find these guys that knew how to do that knew how to put things together and make it functional, workable.
Well, Richard Schaefer. Richard Schaefer. The guy's a freaking Swiss banker. He's the guy that made it successful, and that's another good example.
Banker.
Oscar
Need I say more? Bob Arum.
And Oscar De La Hoya. This is Oscar freaking De La Hoya. This guy is the golden boy, and he's had his financial troubles. He's had his troubles. He's gotten. He's putting on fights on Estrella TV. Who has Estrella TV? Name somebody that has Estrella TV so they can invite me over to their house and I can watch these fights, because I don't know anybody that has Estrella TV.
You know what? I'm glad that you said that, because I thought I was the only
they're also streaming. What's that? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, I was just saying. I'm glad that somebody else just said that they don't have it, because I don't. I thought I was going to be like the one man out of everything, of not having Estrella, because I was the same way like you, Felipe. On the night of Randy Caballero, I'm over here searching through the internet trying to find that channel and get a stream, which I did, and it was on Ring TV as well. So, but what were you going to say, Gabriel?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're going. They're really moving towards the future with these two digital channels that they started. Ring TV Live as well, like a third channel. Oscar's always been kind of looking towards the future. Remember last year he bought that De La Hoya TV, and people were like, kind of laughing. I'm sorry, something's in my throat.
Another channel that I don't know anybody that has De La Hoya TV. No, and I hope.
But I think that's part of a streaming package that's going to happen online. I think that's.
And I hope that content gets streamed online, because De La Hoya TV is starting to put some really good fights in Mexico that used to be on the major network down here at Televisa, but for whatever reason, they Golden Boy has a really good relationship with a promoter down here in Mexico called Cancun Promotions, and they're starting to put some really good fights. Jorge Linares has fought on there, Yurokis Gamboa has fought on there, but they put it on De La Hoya TV. I don't know anybody that has De La Hoya TV in Mexico, so hopefully they start streaming those fights too on Ring TV, and we'll be able to catch them, because they are putting on some good stuff on there.
That's what it appears to be the plan, is that if you don't have one, you just get the content out there. You don't hear the free brigade yelling about Oscar's free internet, but he's brought it to the masses just in a different way, not on terrestrial TV. But that is the new terrestrial TV. Everybody's developing content online. YouTube is developing towards that. Twitch TV is developing towards that. That's the new way of the world, an on-demand service.
This is my only thing with that, though, Gabriel. It's like I like the idea.